Hey guys, it's Matt. This is a TPS video. Thanks to Johnny for sending this in to us a few weeks ago. We think, we'll see, right? Savante Pabo. Savante, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm from Philadelphia. Savante Pabo wins Nobel Prize for unraveling the mysteries of Neanderthal DNA. Subtitle: The Swedish geneticist used 40,000-year-old knuckle bones, to sequence the early human's genome. Wow. Gives you chills thinking about something like that in the work that he did. I'd like to show you more of the image. It'll scroll down slowly, but I can't. This image, as usual, is controlled by the Gestapo of all picture and image companies throughout the entire web for all corporate and business use. I don't even know if I can say the name. It'll wake up the AI bot that protects its images. You have to use the word Betty skirmishes, or Betty witnesses, Betty privileges. The first word is Getty. Probably just woke up their damn bot. Somebody using our images illegally? It makes perfect sense that one company essentially controls every single corporate and business image on the web, the entire web, when there's about 40 million HD pictures taken a day by people's cell phones. That makes perfect sense. That could happen in a real world. Right now, some of the bathroom boys are like, Matt, it sounds like you're going to make fun of this, and this could devolve into like what you have the tendency to do, turn a video like into a clown show. My time is valuable, man. Isn't this going to be a serious presentation where you dive into the underbelly of how reality works? No, it's not. We're going to make fun of this, and it's going to get real stupid. To show you even more of the image, I've got to go into my Mac and put on this stupid thing called raster. This is the comic book where it overwrites the image into like a comic. This is the only way somebody like me can show an image that's owned by Betty's witnesses or Betty privileges. They are hardcore pipe-hitting mofos. Right now, they know I'm on their image. They know it, and they're like, should we come after this motherfucker? Oh man, this truther, if he shows one more millimeter of our image, we're going to sick our lawyers on his ass. I'm not joking. They do that. All right, let me get away from the picture. It makes me nervous. And ultimately, you'll see very early on, this is what pisses me off the most. That led to me wanting to make a video that basically makes fun of this, because there's always an underlying thing that pisses me off that motivates me to make a video like this. In starting the reading, it's the same headline we've already been over. Nobel Prize, Mr. Savant, geneticist, studying 40,000-year-old Neanderthal bones. And I can hear you, anybody going, Neanderthal bones. Yeah, right. They ain't nothing but bones from an elephant graveyard. Where'd you get the Neanderthal bones? And Matt, why you keep saying Nobel? Because I choose to mispronounce it. I'm intelligent enough to know it's the Nobel Prize. In Philly, it's worth $50. In Philly, it's the Nobel. Okay, I'm going to pronounce it the way it doesn't deserve to be pronounced correctly. Matt, read the second sentence. We'll never get through this damn article. Pabo's decades of research have made it possible for scientists to begin probing differences between today's modern humans and their ancient alien ancestors. Okay, here's the thing that pisses me off. Anybody know where I'm going with this? Bueller? It's the Nobel Prize, or the Nobel Committee, according to the bot here that gets it wrong, for psychology or medicine. So it's awarded, I don't know whether it's awarded once a year, once every 2 years, 4 years, I don't care. Even if it's awarded once a day, this is wrong. Think about it. The Nobel Prize for medicine goes to a guy that studies bones he got from an elephant graveyard. Here's where I'm going. Shouldn't the Nobel Prize for medicine go to a guy or a girl, especially in this day and age, this stay safe, that is actually helping people cure and overcome disease? See what I'm saying? That nobody's doing anything that would actually help real humans? So the Nobel Prize for medicine, Matt, this is pure mockery. Yes, it is. We'll get to that. The Nobel Prize for medicine, in the era in which human health and stay safe is so important, they give it to a guy studying elephant bones from an elephant graveyard. I mean, how did that go down in the smoking room, the long table where everything is decided? I really like what the savant did. It's amazing. He put the DNA together back for the Neanderthals. But, this is the era, this is a period of unprecedented human history where the focus of the entire world is on health, human health. Didn't anybody do anything to make people healthier? Shouldn't we give it to somebody that actually helped somebody that's alive instead of shuffling around and rearranging knuckle bones? No, we got to give it to this guy that shuffled around and rearranged the knuckle bones, because none of these other scientists did anything to push forth better human health. Nothing? Nothing. All right, contact this savant guy. Tell him he's won. Pabo, who is 67, has spent decades pioneering and perfecting new methods of extracting Neanderthal DNA, an extremely complex and challenging process, Canadians say. Over time, very old DNA degrades and can become polluted with the DNA of bacteria, and modern scientists can also easily contaminate it with their own genetic material. Where do I start? I wanted to read it and not do 14 sidebars, but now that I read it, oh my gosh, where do I start? First of all, it's another bot-driven article. You can just Pabo, who is 67. Bot, nobody writes that way, but we'll deal with you some later. Bot has spent decades pioneering and perfecting new methods. That's completely wrong, bot. If they're new methods, bot, they're new. So you can't spend decades doing it. See, put your hands out. It's new or it's old. It can't be both at the same time. You can't perfect new methods because they're new, you jackass bot. And all this time, he's been extracting and rearranging, as you'll see, Neanderthal DNA, which is extremely complex and challenging, it says here. Well, I would think so, considering there probably isn't one Neanderthal bone that exists anywhere in the world. You had to go out into an elephant graveyard. Over time, very old DNA degrades and become polluted with the DNA of bacteria, and modern scientists can also easily contaminate it with their own genetic material. Over time, very old DNA degrades. No kidding. You got to reference the second law of thermodynamics. Everything goes towards entropy to know that. You put anything on a table, you put a Whopper on a table for a long time, it's going to degrade. You got to tell me that in the Smithsonian Magazine? The second part is the real problem. It degrades, so you're only left with half a noodle. And the half a noodle that's left, it says, that DNA can become polluted with the DNA of bacteria, and even modern scientists can contaminate it themselves with their own genetic material. Ew! How would that happen? It's got the Neanderthal DNA laid out all over the table with open petri dishes, and just like, sneeze. That sounded like, wasn't that the exact sneeze from the lion in The Wizard of Oz? Where the heck did that come from? It's like I was just possessed for 2 seconds by the lion, the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz. Or maybe there's other ways you could kind of pollute the genetic material of the petri dish DNA from the Neanderthal men you're working for. Remember what the kid did in House of the Dragon out the window? You do that too close to your little petri dishes, you're going to genetically pollute it in other ways. Next page. But time and again, Pabo found ways around these and other issues. In 2010, after years of painstaking work, Pabo and his team published the sequenced Neanderthal genome, a feat that at one time was considered impossible, reports the New York Times' Benjamin Mueller. As Elizabeth Kolbert wrote in her book, The Sixth Extinction, the process was like trying to reconstruct a Manhattan telephone book from pages that have been from pages that have been put through a shredder, mixed with yesterday's trash, and left to rot in a landfill. Well, thank you, Elizabeth Kolbert, for proving my point and putting it that way. So let's look at that Manhattan telephone book where Elizabeth Kolbert said it's put through a shredder, then it was mixed with the trash, and then it was left to rot all those shredded pieces of the Manhattan telephone book left to rot in the Fresh Kills landfill. Could anybody put that Humpty Dumpty back together? Could any bot? Could any machine? Could any AI that spits out stable diffusion images? Nothing could put that back together, which proves my point, Elizabeth. If you're going to make that parallel, nobody could put this Neanderthal DNA back together, assuming the knuckle bones even exist in the first place. We talked about it in a video just a few weeks ago about this Human Genome Project, the late 90s through 2001, 2002. Who knows what was really accomplished there or not, but at least that made sense. The Human Genome Project, see, they have access to real humans. They can take blood samples. They can take tissue samples. They can do whatever they need to do. They didn't just do it based on 40,000-year-old bones. So 20 years ago, it was the most unprecedented accomplishment in scientific medical history, the Human Genome Project. But they have access to like billions of people that are still alive. See, now it can be done 20-some years later, and all you need is a pile of elephant bones. Come on, man. I mean, no matter what was done with the human genome 20 years ago, there's no way something similar can be done, assuming these bones even exist. It's a joke. What are you saying, Matt? The whole Nobel Prize is based on nothing? Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I don't buy this for a second. I'm sorry. Here's another small problem. So this guy does this over decades with a pile of Neanderthal bones. It's all based on having a supply of Neanderthal bones, of course. So he's got a bunch of Neanderthal bones, but there's 6 to 7 billion people on Earth. How many missing link bones do we have showing where, science tries to show the human where they came from? Next to nothing. Next, we have, Matt, you never heard of Lucy? I have heard of Lucy. Lucy's like 5 bones. They have 5 bones laid out on a carpet somewhere. They call that Lucy. They tell you that's your missing link. Where are the millions and millions of bones like Lucy? Where are the hundreds of thousands of samples? They have next to nothing to point to, calling these animals the missing link. They have millions of human skeletons and get as many as they want out of the Paris catacombs. They've got monkey skeletons, but in terms of those the lineage, one led to the other, all they got is Lucy. They got Java Man as a coffee drinker. They've got like 3 things. But this guy's got more Neanderthal DNA, which should be 1,000,000 times harder to find than the missing links that's apparently where we came from, because there's billions and billions of us, so there should have been billions and billions of them, and Neanderthal just went extinct. But he's got the bones, but there's no missing links for us. This is absolutely absurd. If I could address the bot that's listening to me one more time, the bottom 2 paragraphs, by the way, guys, are totally useless. We're not going to read them. The very top, it says, but time and again, Pabo found ways around these and other issues. Nobody writes that way, bot, but time and again. I have a new theory about Rings of Power. It just came to me. The Rings of Power was written by a bot. I'm telling you, this is probably will become the leading theory. I'm not even joking. The Rings of Power is so bad. Galadriel says, "You have not seen what I have seen. You have not," and it's literally Shakespeare for first graders. I think maybe it's a Duke and Duke $1 bet. The entire Rings of Power, written, directed, everything by a bot. I am in no way joking, guys, about this. It could explain a lot. We'll talk about that in future videos. Matt, I sure hope not. Next page. Born in 1955 in Stockholm, Sweden, before it was overrun, Pabo spent 3 decades working to unravel the Neanderthal genome. 3 damn decades? This guy worked to unravel the Neanderthal genome, just sitting there with a pile of bones on his desk for that's 30 years. To you and me, in dog years, is 210 dog years. He sat there with a pile of bones on his desk, looking to unravel the Neanderthal genome, mostly at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. Say that 3 times fast. And that's in Leipitz, Germany. Oh, Inga's going to be so upset. I just butchered the German language. Leipitz. It's like Pootie Tang. Leap of time. Bob, I'm a Po Tony. Got my dillies on the runny kind in Leppitz, Germany. He studied mummies and extinct animals before focusing his efforts on Neanderthals. How did he study mummies and extinct animals? How do you study an extinct animal? It's extinct. I mean, even that crazy, what's his name? John Nash trying to create algorithms, writing on the damn windows. He's trying to create an algorithm for the movement of pigeons. At least the damn things were still alive and real in the courtyard, as crazy as John Nash was trying to do. He's studying extinct animals. You can't even take a stool sample. It doesn't do anything in front of you. It's like those sculptures that create air and then they sell it. It's nothing in a box but air. How do you study an extinct animal? I put that to you, Greg Marmalard. Bottom paragraph below the gigantic Netflix advertisement for The Crown. Look how scripted this is. Like every single scientist has the same exact set of cue cards. Quote, Pabo says, I'm driven by curiosity, by asking the questions, where do we come from? And what were the important events in our history that made us who we are? That's genius, man. Has anybody ever said that before? I don't know. It seems somewhat familiar, but let's continue. Pabos told Steve Olson, must be very proud, Steve Olson, in 2006. All right, is this the end of this? There's another segment. Next page. On Monday morning, Pabo was just finishing a cup of tea when he got a call from Sweden. He assumed the call was bad news about his family's summer home in Sweden and was instead surprised to learn he'd just won the Nobel Prize. Wait a second. He got a call from Sweden. I thought he lived in Sweden. Well, where the hell was he? Why doesn't the article tell me that? Wherever. You know, the guy that just plays with bones on his table for 30 years has the money to have a second or third home, probably in like Monte Carlo, whatever. So he gets a call from Sweden, not about the main home, but a potential problem with the family's summer home. So he's got 3 homes now. This guy, all he did was shuffle bones around on a table. He had no accomplishments. You know what his accomplishments were over a 30-year period up till now, so he could afford 3 homes? Just right out of a Point Break in Utah. Squat. See, Matt, they had positioned him decades in advance to win this bogus Nobel Prize. That's why he had the 3 homes. Probably exactly right. But don't leave me hanging, whoever wrote this. What happened to the damn family summer home? Was that concerned? Was it a typhoon of some kind? Or was that overrun, if you know what I mean? Was that area where they had the vacation homes overrun by squatters? Maybe that's what he was worried about. Sorry, just finish it, Matt. Instead, he gets a call. It's like, are the squatters in my home? No, you've won the Nobel Prize. I have? For what? For what you've been doing for 30 years, you jackass. When asked whether he ever envisioned winning science's most prestigious prize, Pabo humbly replied that he, quote, somehow did not think that this really would qualify for the Nobel Prize. That's the only smart thing that's ever come out of his mouth. That's right. And he didn't even know what Nobel Prize he was winning. Well, wait a second, which one did I win? The Nobel Prize for medicine. But I didn't contribute in any way to human health or medicine. It's okay. Just take the prize. Next page. Award-winning scientific discoveries are apparently in Pabo's blood. Oh no. It's bloodline related stuff going on here. They've got to put that out. Oh, we'll see. It's in Pabo's blood, it says. Oh boy. Oh no. Though Pabo has said he was much closer to his mother, chemist Karen Pabo, his father, biochemist Sune Bergstrom. What? Where's the last name? He took the last name of his mother? What? Sune Bergstrom, his father, but not in name only, shared the Nobel Prize in physiology and medicine in 1982. This is the 8th time that a child of a Nobel laureate has also gone on to win a Nobel Prize. Put your hands out. 8th time. Father wins, son wins. But it's completely legitimate. You'd have to be one of those people to contest its legitimacy. All right, it's so strange what we just read there. Let's just do the second paragraph in a moment. Go back up. It says he was much closer to his mother. How is that even relevant in an article about a Nobel Prize winner? So again, he took his mother's name, but his father, Sune Bergstrom, was a Nobel Prize winner. Oh, God forbid you want to not. You don't want to take the father's new. Matt, he wants to earn it on his own. This is, you know what this is? This is Emilio Estevez syndrome all over again. He didn't want to be a Sheen and just have the red carpet thrown out. He wanted to earn it. Oh yeah, I'm sure he had to. Emilio Estevez had to earn it. He didn't take his father's stage name, Martin Sheen. That's what this guy did. He's, I want to earn it on my own. Maybe they just do this to make it look good. They probably slated him for the Nobel Prize the first day he pulled out those knuckle bones 35 years ago. What an absolute joke. Let's continue. Pabo's win marks the start of this year's Nobel Prize announcement. Is Obama up for another one? Which will continue throughout the rest of the week with awards in physics, chemistry, literature, economics, and peace. That's the one Obama won. And then he went on to become the biggest war president in U.S. history. Winners get 10 million Swedish kroner, roughly $900,000, which comes from a bequest. It's a bot-driven giveaway, which comes from a bequest, a behest, left by the late prize's creator, Alfred Nobel. Like if that trust fund ran out, there would be no more funding, sure. The Nobel Prize is a pillar of the system itself. The way we discussed the Jim Morrison, Rush Limbaugh, people were really eager for me to tie them together, like that really matters. Last year, American scientists David Julius and Ardem Patapoutian won the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine for their research on skin receptors last year. So they do skin receptors. What does that have to do with keeping people health and safety in this unprecedented time in world history? See, it's all a mockery. At the time in world history when there is an absolute focus on health and stay safe and being healthy, all the Nobel Prizes are just awarded to everything not related to what should be the core theme of health and medicine in 2019 through 2022. What an absolute joke. Here's an image and a caption. Say good morning to our new medicine laureate, Savant Pabo. Pabo received the news while enjoying a cup of coffee. After the shock wore off, one of the first things he wondered was if he could share the news with his wife, Linda. Who writes like that? What is that? What is that? One of the first things he wondered was if he could share the news with his wife. Again, is everything bot driven, or they mean he wondered how he would go about sharing the news with his wife, or wondered if he even could share it, like he would try to keep it hidden from her for the next 15 years. Where are you going tonight? Another party? Oh, yeah, but you haven't done anything in life. Oh, I know, but all of a sudden all these people like me. But why? Oh, don't you worry about it, hon. It is so bizarre. Another page? Yeah. Sandwiched around another annoying Netflix ad for The Crown. Top. Scientists believe, here's your truth that has to flow out. Scientists believe Neanderthals lived throughout Europe and parts of Asia, starting around 400,000 years ago. Then roughly 40,000 years ago, they mysteriously disappeared. Scientists believe Neanderthals lived. Separate your sentence. There's your truth. They don't even know. But this guy's receiving the Nobel Prize for organizing the DNA from knuckle bones. That would surely prove they lived, but here it says scientists believe Neanderthal lived. Take it literally. Scientists believe Neanderthal lived. Put your period in. There's your truth. Okay? We could take it one step further and say it ain't nothing but Madame Tussauds. But let's continue. Okay. They believed Neanderthals lived throughout Europe and Asia starting around 400,000 years ago. Okay, then roughly 40,000 years ago, they mysteriously disappeared. So if you don't like the way I just broke that first part of the sentence down, Matt, you have to continue. You can't take one part of a sentence at a time. Well, the other, if you combine it, it doesn't make any sense. Scientists believe means they're not sure. Obviously, that's what that means. It depends how you then interpret it. They're not sure, Matt, they lived 400,000 years ago. They're not sure of the timing. They're certainly sure, Matt, that they existed. Oh, really? So this thing called carbon dating, that's supposed to be so perfect, they can't carbon date the bones to any accuracy, but he can shuffle around 400 million different combinations and resequence the DNA. He can do something that's supposedly a million times more complicated and sophisticated than the carbon dating. No, if he can resequence the DNA using just the knuckle bones running around on his table, then they should be able to know exactly when the bones could be traced to. Okay, that it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't conform with logic the way they write this out because it's all made up anyway, so it can't conform with logic. The bottom part, this makes no sense. Paleontologists first discovered Neanderthal fossils in a German quarry in 1856 and have been perplexed by these early humans ever since. All right, come with me. Let's get in our time machine. Let's see how this played out. Well, Matt, what's the problem with the last sentence? Paleontologists came across the Neanderthal for the first time in 1856. It was in a German quarry. Where'd you expect to find him? Let's see how it really would have happened. Who's working in a German quarry in 1856? People making about a penny a day, pulling whatever is supposed to be coming out of the quarry, whether it be coal, anthracite, coke, diamonds, gold, rare earth minerals for Chinese computer parts, whatever it may be. So digging, shovels, donkeys, jackasses, and burros. There's a skull in the damn rock or in the coal, and let's just say a leg bone, a thigh bone is connected to the rib bone. What's going to happen? The freaking coal miners are going to say, "Stop working! Stop!" We need to call in. You think they had the same environmental concerns in 1856 and concerns for preserving history and ancient sites? They just shut everything down and they said, "We need to call in the paleontologists." Bullshit. That damn skull that guy pulled out of the wall, he's in an underground quarry or whatever, he would have thrown right that into the crusher with everything else and ground it up like the granite rocks. It wouldn't have survived 2 seconds. Think about it. Oh, but these coal miners or whatever they're mining in 1856 in Germany, they're making a penny a day. Even if 5 of them, they get together, they go to the foreman or the manager, "We need to stop and bring in paleontologists because this doesn't quite look like a human," and it's very similar. I mean, even the way they present it, little clay in the back, a little clay in the front, it's very similar to a human skull. If it came out of the wall in a German quarry, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's probably dark or sunrise or something. But then the foreman's like, "No, you assholes get back to work. We have a freaking quota, and you know who runs this quarry? You know who runs this place? I don't care if you pull Tinkerbell out of the damn quarry. Get back to work. Just take whatever bones you find and throw them in the crusher." The paleontologists, in this sense, if it's really a German quarry, would never have been called in. Who do you even call in 1856? The University of Munich. It would take them weeks to mobilize. Going to shut the quarry down. All production stops. You know, we heard about all the child labor. They didn't give a shit. There was no unionization. All the stuff. The robber barons. You get back to work or throw your ass out on the street. It would have looked just like a human skull. You know what would have happened? Like the 9th level of Metroid. Skull in the wall. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, is there any other way to interpret the story that we're being told here about the first discovery of Neanderthal bones than the way I presented it? I mean, what would my liberal adversaries say to me taking a podium against me? That, well, Matt, you're discounting that the workers, I hear you, it would have been hard to shut the mine down or the quarry down, but the workers took it upon themselves to collect up the bones and the skulls. And then they carried them, they put them in their backpack right next to the half-eaten tuna fish sandwich. They carried the bones out themselves because they recognized they weren't exactly human. And then on their own, they mailed them to the paleontologist office, the only one that existed in Germany at the time. They mailed them to the University of Munich, or they kept it and they sent an urgent pigeon or a Harry Potter owl they sent off to the University of Munich. Urgent, come to mining site immediately. We are sophisticated enough as miners and quarry workers to determine that this skull is a little bit different, and we think we discovered some sort of proto-human. And based on the expertise of the miners, the people in Munich shut down everything they were doing and made their way out to the middle of Bavaria on mules. Come on, man. kind of jackass could believe this bullshit? There's a better chance they discovered E.T.'s finger out in that quarry site than a damn Neanderthal bone. Next page. Pabo's work hasn't managed to answer all the scientific community's questions about Neanderthals, but it's given researchers an invaluable jumping-off point for many of their inquiries and has led to groundbreaking discoveries in its own right. For one, Neanderthals and modern humans share a common relative called Denisovans. Denisovans. This is like is that the original root of the Merovingians who appeared around, don't piss those people off, Matt, they still exist, who appeared around 400,000 years ago. They keep tying everything to 400,000 years ago. What happened then? And what's a Denisovan? His research also suggests that Neanderthals and modern humans had children. What? Inbreeding? Is this explain how the Kaiser Wilhelm, the Tsar of Russia, and King George were all related? They had children together during periods when they coexisted. Matt, didn't you see the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey? It was all explained there. Today, most modern humans share between 1 and 4% of their DNA with Neanderthals, reports CNN's Robert Pichetta and Carrie Hunt. What? Let's just continue and get to the end of this. This genetic transfer between species has likely had important implications for the immune systems of modern humans. In 2020, Pabo and his colleague Hugo Zeberg found a gene inherited from Neanderthals is tied to the risk of severe, oh no, C the V19. Let me read that again, guys. We know what I just referenced there. Okay, we finally have the reason for his Nobel Prize. All tied together. I had no idea this was coming. Okay, Pabo and his colleague Hugo Zeberg found that a gene inherited from Neanderthals is tied to the risk of severe C the V. Carl Weathers 19. You've got to be... I didn't know this level of ridiculousness was coming, guys. But is anybody surprised? Me neither. It's all tied together. And they write a reality script that is incredibly real and has everything, but they don't think that they can write Rings of Power. That's just first grade writing. When they write an entire reality script for 7 billion people. The very last part of the article ties everything together, tells us exactly the agenda at hand here. Okay, quote, "It matters because our ancestry is what is affecting our health. And when you uncover the genes that we inherited from these distant, ancient alien ancestors," that's not what was in there, "that matter to our health." Put your hands out. Your ancient ancestors matter to your current day health. They're tying the two together for the idiot reader. You're going to then open a new window into understanding human disease if you understand your ancient past, says John Hawkes. You must be very proud. An anthropologist at the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Okay, now a couple of things are going on here. One, they're reminding any of the readers, of course, and they will constantly push the human or one's understanding of who they are from the reader's perspective, constantly push that to a lower level. Sure, they want it one day to step into the digital environment, but until then, we'd like to remind you, the reader, that you are lower than you thought. You got Neanderthal. This is them talking to the average Joe Q reader. You got Neanderthal DNA in you. And that's probably why you got real sick. That's why you low, fiddling Ben's low. You part Neanderthal. We want to remind you, them talking to John Q. Reader. And then the subconscious, the unconscious, the conscious mind of John Q. Reader just wants to get a friggin' pierogi. He don't give a shit. But the subconscious, what really is heard at the unconscious level is, ooh, I'm less than I even thought. This article is reminding me I'm less than I even thought. Maybe I should step into the digital environment today. I mean, look, the bottom, I'll show you the biography or supposedly who wrote this, whether hope it's not a real bot or whatever. But if there was this Sarah Kuta that wrote this, She's not in on it with dark instructions. Everybody follows along the download. That's what gives his entire reality away. Okay, we're finally at the end of the article. I had alluded that it's probably a bot that's writing it, but the Smithsonian assures me, per this post-biography of the writer, Sarah Kuta, and I understand that the face could be a Mid-Journey or DALL-E rendered image. We can't really trust anything anymore. Matt, we can't trust anything since 1975. I hear you. But, okay, I hope a real person wrote this, because at some point I may be able to meet up with that real person, book us into the room, we could get together. She'd say, what do you want to do with me to teach me about the truth? Sarah, me and you, I'll take it on myself to book us into the room. Book us a room together. I'll show you my old Mac. You'll be mesmerized. By the time you left that room, you wouldn't know which way is up. You'd cry for a weekend, Sarah. The offer stands. I'm sure you're listening to this presentation. Just reach out to me, Matt, Quantum of Conscience. Thanks for listening.